So the next topic is principle of superposition of waves. So we have considered light as a transverse wave. So when such number of waves travel through a medium simultaneously, each of the wave travels independently of the other as if the other waves are absent. The other waves are not present only. Okay, so an important conclusion over here is that of the independent behavior of the waves is that the effect of all these waves are going to get added together. Okay, and the resultant wave will be obtained. Okay, and this resultant wave is obtained by this principle of superposition of waves. So what exactly happens? Supposing we have a particle in a medium. So let's consider two waves. Okay, so one wave is traveling with amplitude, let's say y1, and another wave is moving with the amplitude of y2. Something like this. There is a particle over here, so this particle will be displaced first with this amplitude, this much of amplitude, that is y1, and again with this amplitude also, that is y2. So now supposing we want to find out the resultant amplitude of this particle, how much this particle is going to displaced in total, you will see that the resultant displacement of this particle will be the sum of this two displacement, that is y1 plus y2. That means the resultant will look something like this. Resultant displacement will be something like this. That means this amplitude over here is going to be y, which will be equal to y1 plus y2. It will be sum of this, it will be vector addition of these two displacements. So how can we state the principle of superposition of waves? The principle of superposition of waves can be stated as when number of waves traveling through a medium superpose with each other. They come in interaction with each other. What will happen? The resultant displacement at any point, at any given instant, will be equal to the vector sum of the displacement due to the individual waves at that point, considering the other waves are absent. So it will displace that particle with its own displacement or with its own amplitude as if the other one is absent, the other wave is absent. So this first white wave which you can see over here, this is going to displace this particle by y1 as if the other yellow wave is not present, and yellow wave is going to displace this particle as if the white wave is not present. Okay, and the total displacement over here will be sum of the two displacement, the vector sum of the two displacements. So what can we say from here? If y1, y2, y3 till yn, okay, till yn are the displacement due to different waves which are acting separately, then according to the principle of superposition, the resultant displacement when all the waves are going to act together, so final displacement will be what? The vector addition of each of these displacements till yn. Okay, so what can we say from here? When the two superimposing waves are in the same phase, that is the example which I have shown you here. These two waves are in the same phase, right? When one wave is at 0, the other wave is also at 0. When one wave is at maximum, the other wave is also at maximum. Correct? So these two waves are in phase. Correct? So when the two waves are superimposed in phase, they are in phase, the crest will come with the crest and trough will come with the trough. So what is going to happen? The crest is going to fall on the crest and the trough is going to fall on the trough, and their displacements are going to get added with each other such that y will be equal to y1 plus y2. Supposing the two waves meet in opposite phase. Supposing the two waves meet in opposite phase, that is, what is going to happen in this case? Supposing the one wave is coming like this, they are out of phase. Okay, and the other wave is coming like this. That means they are 0 at the start, but one is maximum, the other one is minimum. Okay, so if the two waves fall over each other, which are opposite in phases, what is going to happen? The crest will fall over the trough and the trough will fall over the crest of one another. Okay, so in this case, what is going to be the resultant? See, this supposing this one is y1 and this one is y2, such that y1 is equal to y2. So how will be the resultant wave? What will be the condition of resultant wave? Resultant wave will be like this. It will be just a normal line. There won't be any displacement of the particles happening here, because this one will cancel out the effect of this one, since y1 is equal to y2. Okay, supposing one of them is bigger, then what will happen? Supposing y2 is greater than y1, what is going to happen over here? There will be a wave something like this. That means this amplitude is going to be y2 minus y1, the difference between them. Okay, so in short, what is going to happen over here? The resultant displacement at a point at given instant will be equal to the vector sum of the displacement due to the individual wave at that point. So now let us understand what are coherent sources. So supposing we have two sources of light which are continuously emitting the light waves. Okay, we have two sources which are continuously emitting the light waves. So let us say this is one source, this is another source, and they are emitting the light waves. Supposing the waves which are coming out from here have the same frequency or same wavelength. They have the same frequency and the same wavelength, and they have the same phase difference, a constant phase difference or a zero phase difference. Then these two sources are called as the coherent sources. So now you will understand what is this phase difference clearly when we do the chapter alternating currents. Okay, you will understand it better then. So what is basically a phase? What is a phase? So we have a phase, something called as phasor diagram. Okay, I'll just explain you it in short. So supposing there is a wave which is traveling like this. Okay, and this is a phasor diagram which consists of a circle. Okay, so basically something like this. Okay, so this is going to be your 0, this is going to be your 90, 180, okay, this is going to be 270, and this will, let's make this 0 and 360. 0 and 360 will coincide. Okay, so supposing your wave starts from here, okay, it goes on top to maximum. That means there is an arrow over here. Okay, supposing I represent it with an arrow like this over here. What will arrow? Just imagine this as a hand of a clock. Okay, any of the hand of the clock. What will happen? As this goes on top like this arrow will travel like this in the anti-clockwise direction. So as and when this is going like this, along with this arrow will go, so that each of the position will correspond to the position over here. Each of the position will correspond over here. Till then, this will become maximum. So at 90 degrees, it will become maximum. That means how will your curve look like? The curve will become maximum at 90 degrees. So that means your arrow will be right over here. Now what will happen? This will start going down. So what will happen? This one will also go down. So this is your pi by 2, that is 90 degrees. Now this arrow will come down this side slowly. So what will happen? This curve will also start coming down. At 180 degrees, it is again 0. We have already learned this in the 11th standard in oscillations. Okay. Then this arrow will again come down this side. So to make it to the negative displacement, the maximum displacement. So this was 180. Okay. So this is pi. So this one will go down to the maximum down here. So once this arrow comes over here, this will correspond to the maximum negative on the other side. So this is going to be 270, that is 3 pi by 2. Okay. Next, this will again come on top, and when it completes one oscillation, it will be over here 2 pi. This is going to be 2 pi over here, that is 360 degrees. Okay, so this is going to be a phasor diagram. This is going to be the phasor diagram. Now supposing I draw one more wave on here. Okay, if I draw one more wave over here, so what is going to happen in this case? Supposing I draw one more wave, something like this. So I'll start that wave from 90 degrees. Okay, so what will happen? Initially the arrow of the yellow wave is over here. Initially the arrow of yellow wave is over here. So if I start this blue wave from 90 degrees, what is going to happen? This will come down over here. So initially where the blue arrow will be over here, because this has to correspond, right? So what is the angle between the two arrows? The angle between the two arrows is 90 degrees. It is pi by 2. That means what? That means the phase difference between these two waves is 90 degrees. So it will continuously change now. As the yellow arrow proceeds, your blue arrow will also proceed further by the same angle. Every time the angle between them is going to become 90 degrees. Every time the angle will be 90 degrees. This will become like this. Again, the angle between them is 90 degrees. So what is happening over here? As the yellow wave is progressing, the blue wave is also progressing. It is also progressing such that the phase difference between them is continuously same. That means what? The difference between their crest and the difference between their troughs is going to continuously remain same at every wave. It is going to remain same. Okay, these are the two waves which are said to be having a constant phase difference. What do you mean by a zero phase difference? What do you mean by a zero phase difference? Supposing one wave is going like this, another wave is going like this. That means there is no difference between them. There is no difference between them. If you try to draw a phasor over here, how the phasor will look like? The green arrow will be something like this. The green arrow will be something like this, and the blue arrow will be a little bit bigger. The length of the arrow will show the amplitude. Okay, the displacement. The displacement. Okay, but they will go together. So what is the phase difference over here? The phase difference which is represented by phi will be 0 degrees or 0. Okay, here what is the phase difference? If you see over here, this is 0. This is pi by 2. So what is the difference between over here? Angular difference. It is nothing but pi by 2. This is pi by 2. So phase difference over here is pi by 2. So this phase difference has to be continued. Okay, supposing these two waves which are given out from these two sources, source 1 and source 2, have a constant phase difference, something like this, or a zero phase difference, something like this. When that will happen? When the frequency of the two waves is same, or the wavelength is same. That only this can happen. If the frequency is different, if the wavelengths are different, supposing one wave is going like this and another wave is going like this, the frequency is different, wavelength is different. These waves obviously are not going to have a constant phase difference. The phase difference will continuously change. So the two sources which are giving out these two waves will not be coherent. They are called as incoherent sources. These are going to be incoherent sources. The two sources which are giving out these two waves are going to be incoherent sources. But these ones which we have considered over here, the two waves, yellow and blue, these two sources of lights are going to be coherent sources of light. That means they have same frequency, same wavelength, and a constant phase difference. The angle between them is constant. So this is your coherent sources. So how do we define coherent source? So two sources of light which continuously emit the light waves of the same frequency or wavelength with a zero or constant phase difference between them are called as coherent sources. Okay, so three conditions: same frequency, obviously same wavelength, and the third one is they should have a zero phase difference or a constant phase difference. Then they are called as coherent sources. So what will be incoherent sources? The two sources of light which do not emit the light waves with a constant phase difference are called as incoherent sources. The next topic we have is interference of light. That is, as the name tells us, the two lights or the two waves of light when interfere with each other, they mix with each other, they interact with each other, what is going to happen? That is interference of light. Okay, so supposing I have two light waves which is having the same frequency and zero or constant phase difference, meaning the two light waves are given out from a coherent source of light. Okay, if I have two light source which are coherent sources and the two waves are given out from the two respective sources which are traveling in the same direction, they are going to superpose on each other. That means one wave which is coming, supposing over here, okay, one wave which is going like this, supposing going like this, okay, and another wave is going like this. What is going to happen? They are going to superpose on each other, okay, and obviously since they have the same frequency, they have the same wavelength, and they are having either zero phase difference or a constant phase difference, what is going to happen? They are going to superpose on each other. Okay, so in this case the intensity of region of superposition gets redistributed, becoming maximum at some points and minimum at some points. Meaning what? Supposing you keep a screen over here in front of them, what you will see that you will see a interference pattern. There will be a zebra pattern which will be formed. Okay, there will be some bands of the dark color and some bright colored bands, okay, which you can see. So there will be dark band, bright band, dark band, bright band, dark band, bright band. So there will be a pattern which is generated over here of darker band and brighter bands, okay, which shows this interference of the two waves. Okay, so what exactly happens over here? Why do we get this dark band and bright band? We are going to see now. So here we are going to see one experiment which is called as Young's double slit experiment. Why this is called Young's double slit experiment? Because in 1801, Thomas Young, he was the first person to demonstrate this experimentally. That is, this process of interference of light, he demonstrated experimentally. Okay, so what did he do in this experiment? So in this experiment, a source of monochromatic light was taken. What is a monochromatic light? A light having single wavelength and a single frequency. Okay, it won't be a combination of wavelengths, it will be a single wavelength light. So a source of monochromatic light, for example sodium vapor lamp, okay, was taken, and it was a light was illuminated through a rectangular slit. Okay, so we'll draw the experimental setup over here. So a source was kept over here, this was the source, and in front of this source there was one slit provided. There was this slit provided, something like this. Okay, so let me draw the ray through which the light is going to travel. Let it be dotted. So here is my source of light. This is my source of light, and this is the slit provided. Let's say S. Okay, so this is a narrow slit S which is almost 1 mm wide. Okay, this slit is going to be 1 mm wide. Next, he placed two parallel narrow slits which are arranged symmetrically and parallel to the slit S at a distance of about 10 cm from it. So from the first screen at about 10 centimeter, he placed another board, okay, which had two slits. So there was another board which was placed over here, which had two more slits. So that what happened over here is these two slits act as two sources of this acts as two coherent sources, because the source is one, the main source is one, correct? No? So obviously the wavefront is going to travel like this, the wavefront is going to travel like this on the other side also, okay, as the ray advances this side and as the ray advances this side. So what is going to happen, these two sources, that is S1 and S2, let's call it, okay, let's call them as S1 and S2. These are going to behave like individual sources of light, and these sources are going to emit the light which are going to be having the same frequency, same wavelength, a common constant phase difference or a zero phase difference, okay. So these two S1 and S2 are going to behave like coherent sources, coherent sources of light, okay. So these are placed at 10 centimeter apart. So separation between S1 and S2 is kept, so that is taken as D, okay. The separation is kept about 2 mm, very small separation, 2 mm separation, and width of the slit is going to be approximately 0.3 mm, okay. So this one's width was approximately 1 mm, and this one's width, this two slits width is approximately 0.3 mm, okay, it's approximately 0.3 mm. So an observation screen where the pattern will be formed, okay. Obviously the waves will be going from here, the waves will be going from this source, something like this, correct, and the waves will be going from this source also. So if you see over here, the two waves are interfering with each other, they are crossing each other, okay. So interference of light will take place over here. So if we place a screen in front over there, which is the observation screen, okay, so if we place an observation screen over here, what you will notice is a beautiful pattern of light or dark and bright fringes. So what will happen over here, there will be central bright fringe which is generated, there will be a bright fringe which is generated at the center, okay. Then there will be a black or the dark fringe which is generated at the side, okay. Then again there will be a bright fringe which is generated over here, okay. So here you will see, if this observation screen is placed at a distance of about 2 meters, so this distance will be kept about 2 meters away, then you will see that alternate bright and dark band will appear on the screen, okay. So these are called as the interference fringes, okay. This will be called as the interference fringes. So when one of the slits, supposing you close one of the slit, or S1 is closed or S2 is closed, what is going to happen, these fringes will disappear, because why, this you have stopped, so only one wave will be traveling, one source will be progressing there, so you will get a proper light over here, normal light falling on the screen. But supposing the two slits are open, you will get a interference pattern over here, you will get interference fringes. Okay, so now let us see this Young's double slit experiment little bit in detail. So here a section of Young's experiment is shown on the board. This is just a section taken. So if we see over here, this slit which is taken is linear source of light, and we have seen in the Huygens principle, studying the Huygens principle, that linear source of light gives out a cylindrical wavefront. So we have just taken a section of it. So if you see the top of the cylinder, it is going to be the center. Here is your inside, okay, which is going inside. So I'll draw a dot over here. So basically your linear source of light is inside in the paper over here or inside the board. So obviously the waves will be given out like this in all the directions. So what is done over here is this dotted and the thick lines which are drawn over here shows basically the crest and troughs. Okay, so obviously since this source is a linear source of light, a cylindrical wavefront will be given out from the slit S, okay, whose section we have drawn over here. So the solid lines which you can see, or the solid curves which you can see over here, represent the crest, and the dotted curves which you can see over here represent the troughs. Okay, so if we draw the wavefront over here, it will be like solid lines will be crest and the troughs. Okay, again crest and the troughs, something like this. Okay, so it is represented by this line for simplification. So SS1, the distance from here, SS1 will be equal to SS2. These waves fall on the slit S1 and S2 simultaneously, so that the waves spreading out from S1 and S2 are in the same phase. So obviously this sources S1 and S2 are getting the light from the source S, right, the original source, which is common to both of them. So since the ray of light, and they are equidistant from the main source S, these two sources, that is S1 and S2, are going to behave like coherent sources. The light which is emitted out by S1 and S2 are going to have the same frequency, same wavelength, and the same phase difference, okay, or a zero phase difference. So S1 and S2, as we see, behave like coherent sources of light, okay, coherent sources of this monochromatic source of light. So here, if you see, the interference is taking place. There will be several waves which are given out from S1, several waves which are given out from S2. So interference of these two waves is going to take place as the wave diverge out from these sources. So if you see this interference pattern closely, you will see that at some places these bold lines are overlapping with bold lines. At some places the dotted lines are overlapping with dotted lines of the other source, and at some places the dotted lines of one source are overlapping with the bold lines of the other source. So what exactly this shows you? So wherever at a point where the bold line of one source is overlapping with the bold line of the other source, it simply means that the two waves are such that they are in phase. They are in phase. Wherever, that is, trough is coming over a trough and a crest is coming over a crest. That's what it means. Okay, so in this case both the waves are having same amplitude. So one wave will be like this and another wave will be like this. Wherever you can see a dotted line of one source overlapping with a bold line of the other source, the situation is something like this. That means the two waves are out of phase. That is, a crest is overlapping with a trough. That is, a dotted line is overlapping with or intersecting with a bold line. That is this situation. And when the two dotted lines are overlapping or the two bold lines are overlapping, it is this situation. Okay. So if we mark these points, if we try to mark these points, you will see that, if you see, the first point would be over here. That is a bold line overlapping a bold line, a dotted line of one overlapping with a dotted line of other, bold line of one overlapping with a bold line of other, dotted line with dotted line, bold line with bold line, something like this. So if I produce this line, approximately if I produce this line, what is going to happen over here? Basically this, at this place the crest is coming over the crest and the trough is coming over a trough. That means the amplitudes are going to get added up. The two amplitudes are going to get added up. Supposing I have a one wave going like this and the other wave also going like this, where the crest and crest will meet, the resultant of this, supposing this was y1 and this has an amplitude of y2, the resultant wave will have the amplitude of y will be equal to y1 plus y2. So that is what is happening over here. So hence the intensity over here of the light, the intensity which reaches over here at this point is going to be maximum. This intensity is given by I, which will be proportional to square of the amplitude of the wave. Okay, so this intensity of light which is reaching from here like this is going to be maximum at this point, and this is called as a constructive interference. This is going to be called as a constructive interference, and therefore you are going to get a bright band over here. This band over here is going to be a brighter band. Okay, so here what is going to happen? All the waves are going to overlap over each other. They are going to be in phase, something like this. Numerous number of waves, okay, are going to come one over the other, and therefore you are going to get something called as constructive interference. You are going to get something called as constructive interference. Okay, so if you see, there are many such lines over here. You see those lines over here also. So if you see, dark with dark line, dotted with dotted, dark with dark, dotted with dotted, dark with dark, and so on. So here also something like this. Again you are going to get a bright spot. Okay, if you draw it down also, you will see the pattern over here. So here is another one which is going to be the central one. Sorry, not this one. Okay, this is exactly not to the scale, so this should have been actually coming down here. Just try to adjust it a little bit, something like this. So this would be the next point. This point should have come down here. This won't come for drawing, you need not worry about that. So if you produce this line over here, again you are going to get a central bright spot. This is going to be central bright band. Okay, now supposing you see a dotted line overlapping over a bold line. Okay, you will see these points over here, this one, this one, this one over here, this, okay, and if you produce this, okay, this ray of light is going to give us a dark band, because what is happening over here? Happening over here? One wave is out of phase with the other wave. There is a crest and a trough is overlapping. A dotted line is a trough, a bold line is a crest. So when they are intersecting each other, that means that a bold line, that is the crest, and the dotted line, which is the trough, is overlapping each other. Okay, and therefore here the effect of the two waves will be cancelled. Since they are monochromatic light source, the coherent light source, the amplitude will be same. So if one wave is going like this, the other wave will go like this. They will cancel out the effect of each other, and the final light will be blank. It will be dark light. Okay, the amplitudes will be cancelled, and finally you are going to get a darker band over there, and this is called as a destructive interference. This will be called as the destructive interference. So similarly, you will see that the points are over here. So the points over here, this will go on like this to give us destructive interference, and finally you will see that there will be alternate dark and bright bands which are produced over here, which is called as the interference pattern. And these fringes which you are going to get, it will be a zebra pattern, and the fringes which you are going to get over here are going to be called as interference fringes. These are called as interference fringes. So what were the observations made from this experiment? The first observation was, supposing one of the slit was closed, one of the slit was kept closed, what would happen? The interference pattern will disappear, because obviously there won't be interference of two waves. There will be just one wave which is traveling there. Okay, and there will be complete brightness there. okay, a dim light will be seen. There won't be pattern seen over there. So interference pattern will disappear if one of the slit will be closed. So this shows what? This will show that the coherent sources are required to produce, two coherent sources are required to produce the interference pattern compulsorily. Okay. What if a white light is used over here? White light consists of different wavelengths. It consists of different wavelengths of light, correct? No? So if white light is used as a parent source, here we had used monochromatic light source. This was monochromatic. Okay, supposing I use a white source of light, you will see the fringes appearing to be colored, but they will have unequal width. The width over here is going to be unequal, but you will get colored fringes over here. And the third one, the third thing you need to note over here, the third observation which was seen over here was if two independent sources are used instead of coherent sources, incoherent sources are used, then the interference pattern will not be permanent, or the position of the bright and dark fringes will not remain fixed. They will be anyhow seen. Okay, so we won't have a fixed pattern of like we get in this case wherein we use coherent sources of light. So if incoherent sources are used, then you will not have a fixed or a permanent pattern of fringes. Okay, there will be unequal fringes which are produced in that case. So these are the observations made by Young's double slit experiment.